Welcome back to Viewpoint. Tonight we're looking at what it's like to be born deaf in Gibraltar and to grow up not being able to hear properly what others are saying. We're going to hear from the Gibraltar Hearing Issues and Tinnitus Association chairperson shortly. First though, we speak to A-level student Mia Wallace about how her deafness is making school extra challenging and about how she hopes to use her studies in the coming years to position herself to help other deaf people in the future. My colleague Jonathan Scott spoke to Mia.
Thanks a lot for talking to us. Tell us a little bit about your hearing issues and when they started.
So I was born deaf. I have moderate to severe hearing loss and I wear 2 hearing aids and I cope quite well with them, but I do miss a lot.
If somebody's talking to you and like I am now, albeit with a mask hopefully, because it's clear, do you look at my lips to try and understand fully what I'm saying?
I rely a lot on lip reading. Yeah.
So COVID-19 has made things harder for you to understand others?
Yeah, but I've been quite lucky that I've got friends who are aware of it and they try their best to communicate and overcome that barrier. And as well in school, I've been quite lucky that teachers as well have been very aware and made sure that they can communicate with me.
So what can they do to make it to make themselves understood better to you?
Well, I don't know, because they don't really wear masks in school.
They don't, okay.
No, so.
But sometimes are they looking away when they're talking, or?
I guess, yeah, if the back is faced towards me, I will miss stuff, and I can't point out what I missed because I wouldn't realise until maybe later on, where I go back to do a piece of work and I'm I don't understand it, and it's probably because I've missed something. And I guess that could have an impact overall, which is where I feel we need a teacher of the deaf in Gibraltar, because I can help myself with the knowledge I have, and teachers can help me with the knowledge they have, but they're not specialised in how to help deaf people specifically. And I feel as a student, it's already stressful with all the work that we have, that I need that guidance from someone who specialises in deaf people, to help me do the best I can, because right now I don't feel I'm doing the best I could be doing, and I feel there is potential there, but I haven't been able to access what I need in order to achieve that.
Any student would have difficulty learning something new about English and biology, the subjects that you're taking at A-level, but you've got an extra level of difficulty in trying to access the communication that the schools are giving all other students. It would be different if you were in the UK. You'd have that support. Yeah,
I feel in the UK they have teachers for the deaf, which is someone who would guide the teachers and also the student on how to access information and overcome the barriers, and we don't have one here, and I really feel that's impacted me, because I don't know how I can help myself to get all the information and stuff like that.
From what you understand, what extra support would you have in the UK?
So in the UK, they would have a teacher of the deaf which would guide the students and teachers on how to make learning more accessible for people with any type of hearing loss. And not only that, they would also have the knowledge on the technology used in schools, because like if there's a problem, like now, I don't know what to do, like to fix it, and like teachers obviously don't know how to fix it. So like then it's just kind of like left, like that we have to call in the technical people to fix it, and that could take a while. So that means I'm left without my technology that I use in class. Like could be like weeks or months, and that has happened previously.
Let me ask you two things then. What is the technology that you use in class?
So at the moment I'm using like a loop system, and it's basically like I wear like a loop around my neck, and the teacher wears a microphone and it connects, so then I hear it straight to my hearing aids, and that makes like that focuses on the teacher's voice, so then I hear more, and like it blocks out a bit of a background noise and stuff like that.
Am I right in thinking that you found primary school maybe easier to cope with because there was more visual work, whereas now there's less visual work?
Yeah, in primary school I was in top set for everything because everything was a lot more visual. But as the work has been more like listening and that, like throughout the years I've just dropped down like groups because I don't catch everything the teacher says and I don't realise, and like if you miss a piece of information that might affect like the topics later on, and then like it just things don't make sense, so you can't like piece it all together, so that has an overall effect on like the subject and like grades. So yeah, like I've just dropped down the groups throughout.
That doesn't sound fair.
No, because basically I got an assessment done when I was smaller in primary school. I scored average for a lot of things, and like a few things were below average, but because my scores weren't below average, like not enough of them, they refused to give me the help because the scores didn't back up the fact that I needed it. But now looking back, I obviously did, because if I'd gone from top group and then just dropped down the groups into secondary school, then I should have been given that help before, so I didn't have to drop down the groups. And my mum even said that this would happen, and it did.
And how do you feel about that?
Frustrated, because I've had to struggle throughout education because I didn't get the help, so I was equal to everyone else. Like I feel like I've been a bit disadvantaged because I do miss things in class, like I won't hear everything, and that's unfair because people who are hearing will hear that, but I won't.
Do you think that there could be more emphasis placed on visual material and aids to what is being taught in school at A level even?
I think it would be quite hard because A level is a lot of content, and like it's just facts that you have to remember. So like I can just look at the book and study, but I miss out on like the classroom discussions, and like I will hear some but I will miss some, and because I spend a lot of energy trying to listen in class, I don't actually retain the information, so I will go home and forget everything that we've said in class.
How difficult has COVID-19 been for you, the recent months, with more people wearing masks?
Maybe like a few months ago, I was worried about how I would communicate with people, because if I go to bars and restaurants, I usually depend on my friend to tell me what the waiter said and stuff like that. Or like if we go into a shop and I need to ask a question, I usually just ask my friend to do it at the moment, because I know I won't be able to hear what they've said. And like I've been lucky that my friends have been really patient with me and they've like helped me. But it could be more accessible. Like I shouldn't always have to rely on my friends to tell me what they've said.
What would your hopes be for things that could change to make things better for you and for people in a similar situation?
I would definitely hope they put a teacher for the deaf in place, because I don't want other students to have to go through the struggle I did, because it's very frustrating and like it does have an impact on you, because you just want to do the best you can, but you just have that barrier there that you just can't pass. Whereas if you had a teacher of deaf, they could advise you and like guide you into the right places and get the right help. And so I'd really hope that would be in place.
And are you thinking of going to university?
Yeah.
And is that a factor, the support that the university has in place?
Yeah, I'm hoping that when I go to university, I will get the help I need, and I would do research before I go to make sure they offer.
What are you thinking of doing?
I'm thinking of doing psychology and counselling, and then doing like BSL on the side, so then I can become someone who can communicate with other deaf people, so to make counselling more accessible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And have you got an idea of how easy or difficult it'll be to learn BSL?
So I've learnt it before, but I've forgotten it. I think I could pick it up quite quick because I've already learnt it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Excellent. Well, we wish you every success
Thank you.
in doing that. Thanks a lot for talking to us, Mia.
Thank you.
Very brave of you to open up. Edgar, thanks a lot for arranging today's interviews, and also for arranging for Jill to be here, to be able to help us communicate with Jacqueline properly. The matter of hearing issues in Gibraltar is one that you've been campaigning on and working in for a long time. How did it start for you?
Well, I got involved in this area when I started experiencing tinnitus as a result of noise-induced damage in a concert. I was devastated. I couldn't cope. The health services really failed me then, and I had to do my own homework. And I was searching the internet. I was introduced with the British Tinnitus Association, and I felt that reading their stories that really there was a need for awareness, and I had in mind of basically setting up a tinnitus support group then. But in my journey, I came across another lady. Her name is Tony Gomez. She was doing her own journey with sudden hearing loss that appeared for her, and also the lack of services and provisions. And we just decided to join forces and create a broader support group that basically the group turned to just also an awareness group and a pressure group at the same time. So it's quite broad what we do.
For somebody who's not aware, what is tinnitus and how do you experience it?
All right, okay. Well, tinnitus is a symptom, and people experience it for different reasons. Like I always compare it with sneezing. You can sneeze because you got an allergy or because you got a cold. Tinnitus is the same thing. It's a sound like it's perceived internally. Some people can actually say, oh, I hear it from my left side or from my right side. Others, they just hear it inside their head. And the sound itself can differ from very insect-like to very mechanical, electrical like. And it can be as a result of high blood pressure, it could be as a result of ear damage or nerve damage. It can happen to anyone at any stage in life for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. How much has COVID-19 impacted people with hearing issues and tinnitus?
Well, you've heard their stories. It has impacted them really bad. You know, having hearing loss, deafness, profoundly deaf, hard of hearing, if you don't have the empathy, the empathy is not given to you, and you are misunderstood and ridiculed at times, because everybody gets finds when you get the wrong end of the stick funny. And I know, but the constant ridicule of this dismissiveness, oh, I'll tell you later, and you never get to hear it, that wears the person down, their confidence goes down. And before COVID, if they were not in a very good state of mind, and mental health, they had, they were depressed, or they were down with COVID and wearing masks, that totally creates the barrier to them actually understanding the person talking to them, puts them in a darker place. And unfortunately, there is no counseling, there's no service. The mental health strategy in Gibraltar is not geared for people who suffer hearing loss, and especially with people with tinnitus. During the COVID lockdown, I actually got in contact with the British Student Association contact that I had. They referred me somebody who did counseling for tinnitus sufferers in Birmingham, and I created a WhatsApp group and invited people that I already knew had something tinnitus, or they have come to me saying, look, my tinnitus has gone really bad since lockdown. I need help. Sometimes I'm worried I'm going to do something wrong, or I'm very low. And I created that WhatsApp group to basically fill the void that the health services at the moment are not filling up. And that's basically, I would say a personal frustration that I have, that, you know, I've been at this lobbying since 2009. I brought Professor Langos, who said that Gibraltar could be a model for treatment and therapy for tinnitus. He provided his expertise and his contacts, availability to set up a multidisciplinary health unit, an ENT, GP, audiologist, everyone working together to assist these individuals that some of them can cope by themselves, but there's a lot who can't, and they need guidance. And you know, 10 years have gone by and we're still in the same place as in the past. We just are forgotten.
That's how you feel? You feel that people with hearing issues are forgotten?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking on for the tinnitus side of things, but I feel that people with hearing issues, and that's a broad term because they are so distinct. They've got things in common, but it's very distinct. And I feel that they are not cared for. They're not taken seriously. It's because I would say, the inability to hear is invisible. They actually question how disabling it is for that person. And what you've got to think is that hearing loss is not a learning disability. Hearing loss is just the lack or difficulty in communicating. It's a communication issue. So it can be remedied. And people like Mia and other students, because they got hearing loss doesn't mean that they cannot achieve the full potential. There have to be things in place to make them be able to achieve that full potential.
How much harder has it been not being able to follow the regular updates as easily? So the daily briefings, the news bulletins, how has that impacted you?
I personally, fortunately, I can hear those briefings, but my membership and basically the hearing loss community in Gibraltar, they've been basically outcast and have suffered a great deal. It's fortunately you see countries where in America where you've got signing there, and you see in the UK where you don't have signing available, but they do have subtitles, and in Gibraltar we lack both. And government, after our lobbying, basically issued to remedy the situation basically the script that they had in mind for that particular day. But that script only included whatever the deputy or the chief minister would be talking. So if they had invited Dr. Rawal or the commissioner of police, that script wasn't handed us for us to distribute. So the deaf community didn't get to know what was said by them. And my lobbying has always been that it's on the ownership of the broadcaster and on government, being the people funding the broadcaster, to make it available for them to provide a full service for the full audience. I know that some senior citizens might not be technologically minded. They might rely on GBC for their local news, not on Twitter or Facebook. So they wouldn't get the full message because there is no subtitles for them.
It's been a really interesting morning, Edgar. Thank you for organising it. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? Maybe like a one thought, even if it's something you've already said. Like the most important thing for somebody watching this program, the most important idea for them to understand.
The big message I want to put out there is that the hearing loss community, for all the wrongs that happened in the past, we have been silent and patient, but now together we got a voice. We want a change. The time for change is now. And the reason why we want to change is not because we expect people's charity, it's because we demand our right to be treated and to benefit as any other Gibraltarian British citizen in Gibraltar. We don't ask for anything more. The cost might be more, but that comes under the obligation of the government to our constitutional rights. If it's more expensive, well be it, but we shouldn't be paying the price with a poor quality of life, with lack of information, with depression, anxiety. We shouldn't be the one paying the price.
The Gibraltar Hearing Issues and Tinnitus Association's chairperson, Edgar Triay, believes the government and the public service are failing in their obligations to serve all people in Gibraltar equally. What do you think? Join the conversation online. Viewpoint will be back at the same time next week. Jonathan Scott will be here. He'll be sitting down for an extended live interview with Together Gibraltar leader Marlene Hassan Naon. From the team at Broadcasting House, thanks for watching and good night.